and we'll just run through the creation story, because I've just found a little bit of information lately that sort of verifies things, and a big announcement today, I'll get straight onto right this minute, is that the southern sky, this is our flat earth model, right, if you haven't seen it. This is the centre earth vortex. In here, all the cultures knew about, because that's where the tree of life is. It's basically a vortex. Here, a turning, rotating vortex. And this centre vortex creates our whole realm. We only live in this part of the donut. So picture a donut with a hole in the middle. We don't see the hole in the middle, that's the non-physical. We're in our physical, perceived physical zone out here. Well, here are all the stars. Everything is in there turning. So we all know the Polaris rotation, sky star trail rotation. That is projected out here into the southern sky. That comes right up to here. Then you have the gap of the celestial tropics, and then we have our night time. This is more straight through here. These tend to curve like that as they come up to here. This is where we see Orion's belt come through. 3 beautiful straight lines, dead straight. They do not curve. You'll find all the stars curving here though. Well, that image in there is the same image out here, except it's upside down, it's flipped. It's the parabolic reflection. A concave mirror will flip the image. That's what I'm declaring today. Sections in Isaiah 24:1, upside down. You read the myth, if you can find the right mythological story concerning the Maoris in New Zealand, there's Rangi and Papa and Rangi, and they're representing the earth and the sky being separated, just like the Egyptian story of Jeb, or Jeb, the earth, representing the earth, because that's people, earth and people, life, being separated by Shu, standing there with his hands up like this, representing the centre vortex, supporting Nut, whatever you want to pronounce it, the sky goddess Nut. The Maoris have the similar story. They have, this is the thing with all religions and myths, they all get intertwined, interchangeable, and they're all riddles based on riddles. And most people aren't getting the riddles. They don't see the riddles. They just read the story literally and forget the riddle. Just like in the Bible, it's all the same. It's all riddle. You've got to think. You've got to seek, and you shall find. If you're not seeking, you're just an average guy. They're not going to reveal all the secrets. You have to be in search spiritually with heart and mind. So, in the Maori myth, we have Papa and Rangi. So one of them is the earth and one of them is the sky, depending on which story you're reading. But here's the trick, you see. If you don't know the system, you won't know the trick. You won't see it. You will. It's basically depicting earth and the sky, but also the two skies, north and south. And when they mention turning, you see Rangi or Papa, one of them, was, the story goes, he's emotional because of the separation, him or her, and so he shed his tears. And you'll find the average guy will just interpret that as Jew. But we know, if you know my creation story, it's all atmospheric moisture. That all got up there, but I'll go through that from the lowering of the sea and the heat from the sun, atmospheric moisture. But in the Maori mythological story, there's a nice picture there. I don't know how far back in time it goes, but they've drawn these, like, I don't know how they're trying to represent it, but it's like this. But they're basically representing the rising of moisture from the sea to create the atmospheric pressure layers up here in the firmament. This is what we get here, the 7 layers of the firmament, different gaseous layers. The waters separated from the waters is what's up here. Separated from the sea, that's another part of the story. But they're, you know, the average guy will just read, oh, it's representing dew, but no, it's the atmospheric moistures and the layers and everything. So, this is what you have to bear in mind. It's representing the 2 skies, and there's 2 skies are mentioned in Egyptology as well, namely the Book of the Dead. They talk about the 2 skies, and my whole model over the last 18 months shows the 2 skies and how everything works. So, our southern rotation out here are the same stars as what's in there, except they're upside down. And you've got to understand what parabolic reflection does. And the parabola, it will send an image away from there, centralize it here, and this is where you'll get your rotation and your horizon. Everyone has their own rotation, no matter where they're looking out south. No matter where you are on Earth, you will see your rotation directly in line from north to south in your horizon. The guy next to you, either west or east, will see the same rotation, but it'll be slightly, it would have moved more. Because the southern rotation not only rotates like this, it wanders off this way. So a star will be tracked in this big curve, and it will go all the way around the Earth. So if you've got a ship or a plane and could go 1,000 miles an hour and follow the star, you would see it going west all the way, winding. It will basically pick one out here somewhere. It will wind all the way around into about here somewhere, and then it starts winding back out again to end up exactly where it was the night before. That's when then you get the spiral effect going on. It'll wind in like Fibonacci, golden ratio, whatever. It goes in like this and then comes out again. Because that's how it works. When you've got a vortex, a reflection of a concave image back in here, reflected on this other parabolic image you'll get because of the curving, this curving of the southern sky. So you're not only getting one parabolic image from these 2 symmetrical curves, a mirror image, you're getting an effect from this parabola back this way. The science knows all about this. They've figured all this out way back in the 60s. So they know, and why are they looking and searching all that stuff out? Because they know all this stuff. Just like Einstein knew all this stuff way back at the turn of the century. This is why they start coming out with flipping mathematical equations to try and nullify any flat earth theory. It's all explained. So there you have it. There's other places in ancient texts that will talk about the upside downness. But like I say, it's all riddle form. No one's reading it. No one's seeing it. They're just reading word for word literally, ignoring the secrets, missing the secrets. So everything in our realm is all created back in here. Science knows the black holes in the Milky Way. What's on the horizon of the Milky Way? The sun. You see the sun in the Milky Way. It's out there, it's in the middle, a big glare. Until they wake that up. Until you wake the third eye up, you'll never see it. You don't know anything. Just believe everything you're told. And everything is based on resonating frequencies. All the resonating frequencies are formed in this big giant vortex down in the centre, down through the Milky Way in the centre where the black hole is. The sounds, we don't hear them all, do we? No, we hardly hear anything. But it's all frequency based. And all those frequencies create our whole physical world because everything is based on resonating frequencies. Like this. In a waveform. Well, everything comes from the black hole. It's forever coming out. It's sound, it's frequencies. So this waving or vibrating, that's what's happening. It's just continuously flowing out, blue shift to red shift. So light is always here. The frequency of light is always here. It just depends on the amplitude of your light system. If you turn a light on, the frequency is already here. So it just depends on the power of that your light system as to how far it's going to go. Everything has its own resonating frequency, and this is the meaning to life, the magic. Every man has his own resonating frequency, and this is what takes you back to Hindu meditation, all that. Mantra yoga, vibration. This is what you need to do. I'm sure a lot of you have tried it. You sit there and you do your ohms, the vibrations, just like that. You'll start belching up. You're cleansing yourself, and it relaxes you. You know, the great gurus, they'll totally relax because they're doing all their meditation during the day. It keeps them down, keeps them relaxed, keeps them soothed. Not hypo. Keeps them down. And this is the trick. And if you find your own resonating frequency, boom, and the stars have aligned because they've got the same frequency. You have to find that frequency. And it's to do with your conception. Where the stars are aligned, that, but really you need to wait. I think you need to wait for your divine alignment to really open the third eye. But it's about having this and this prepared, ready, when that time comes. And so if you're in the right frequency, then it will happen. But you have to have you've got to be in the right place up here mentally, open-minded, totally relaxed. It's been the state of rest. That's what it's all about. So everything has its own resonating frequency. Everything in our physical world is resonating to a frequency. So back here to my model I was showing the other day. I've drawn it a bit clearer now. This is how it works. So all that is back inside the Milky Way. It's what the real ring of fire is around the sun. It's where the planets, it's like this. These are your planets. They're all on their track. It doesn't change. The track doesn't change. Only this magnetic field, well, that's the moon going down around there, but it's in the vortex. The magnetic vortex goes like this. That's what changes the season. It's not only doing this, it's going around. So imagine winding up a spring, coming back down the spring. Winding up the spring, coming back down the spring. But at the same time, it's coming out like this. It's not just a straight up and down spring. It's just, you've got this shape to consider. But maybe where you're staying on those tracks, it's just tilting like this. At the same time as it's going around, because the sun goes round, the season changes as it goes round. So you imagine that right back in the centre around the sun. There's the sun. The sun is on the horizon of the black hole. The black hole being circular, but the sun added to it creates the elliptic shape. So from our perspective, we think, well, science thinks all these planets are doing elliptic shapes because the sun moving causes that to look as though they're doing elliptics, because they want you to think the sun's not moving. But this turns 24/7. All this turns, the whole thing turns, because it's all based on the black hole spin. It's all centrifugal forces, but held in a tight magnetic field, which is the total vortex. It's being blasted out, but held in. It's like this magnetic field pushing up like this. But at the same time, this magnetic field, this pressure is holding us in. We can't get out. And everything's in there. Science knows that to form plasma has to be in a tight magnetic field. So right in the centre here, so here are the planets on their tracks. It's circular. You put it on an angle out there, it starts to look a bit different in our eyes. But as long as you realise it's the sun that's turning 24 hours. That's your 360 degree, that's your 24-hour day. There's a 1 minute variation between the planets, the whole realm is just supported. This is what it says, support on the 4 columns. That's what it means, supported from the centre here. It's just a magnetic realm, electromagnetic pulse, whatever, a thought, memory. So back here again. So this is how it works. So the sun's turning this way. It catches up to planets. It'll catch up to the moon. Like I said in the previous video, the sun will just stay there and turn, and the moon goes up and down every month. And the sun comes around, grabs the moon, and takes it for 2.2 days into new moon. This is the moon coming up, sun comes around, grabs it, the moon goes into the sun like that, dissolves, goes negative. Goes negative up to the sun, positive down to the earth. So as the sun's turning this way, now the moon is coming into the face of the sun. Oh no, that's not right. That's from the other day. So the moon, so they're all going together, but the sun's slightly quicker. So the moon's going this way and it comes in behind the sun. Once it's in behind the sun, there's your full moon. It's behind the sun, but it's down here. So this sun would be looking that way. If this is full moon, the sun's looking that way. The new moon comes into its face that way. It's turning. So we realise they're coming up. They've come up. They're coming up, and the sun turns into it. The sun turns into it. Okay. So now the sun's turning away. It's come out of. Well, here's new moon here. New moon. So I've still drawn that wrong. So you'd have new moons right in its face here. So as it turns, it comes out first at new moon. When you see a crescent, so the sun's turning, and you'll see the crescent like this. The sun is on this side, right? That's always the cold side. That's the opposite side to the sun. So I just want you to think it's up there and the sun is highlighting the moon. Well, it is highlighting it, but it's not creating the light, because there's all energy out here. It's all full of energy. The sun is in many places. It's always there, but only seen in one. Now you understand that? Full moon is the back of the sun. So that the sun's light is the non-physical. So as the sun keeps moving around, slightly quicker, the moon's coming out more and more. But the further the sun gets away from the moon, the more skin the moon will form. It's getting cooler as the sun's getting further away. That's the way that's how you can think of it. So let's all squash back in here. We see the amplified image. So you can imagine this blown up, amplified right out. So you get that there, you get it way out here. We see it way out here. Look, full moon if the sun was facing the opposite direction. At full moon. Full moon if the sun's facing that way. The Egyptians have left us everything. Now the firmament, all the different atmospheric layers, even the Hindus, the Indians, and the Bhagavan system, their god system. They have the 7 elevations here, and in one of their systems they describe it with the birds, the different heights of the birds. they have their what do they have? Bar-tailed whooper, common crow, whooper swan, alpine. Well, we've got birds that fly. The rupals, griffin, vulture, 37,000 feet. Common crow, 33,000 feet. Bar-headed goose, 29,000. Whooper swan, 27,000. Alpine choughs, 26,500. Bearded vulture, 24,000. 21,000. Andean condor, 15,000 feet. This is why we always have the eagle in the Egyptian myths, because it's just showing you the highest elevation. This is where we need to go. This is how you bring your system up, your chakras, your resonating frequencies have to come right up here, and this is the higher zone, highest. It's all about that, raising your frequencies. So in Egypt we have the three pyramids, right? This Khafre, Khufu is the moon pyramid. Sun, the center, is Khafre. Then you have Mercury, that represents Mercury, the smaller one. And so Mercury is basically the black sun, because you could say Rahu, because it has to align up with these two to create the solar eclipse. Now the way I have it is Mercury should come between here, but I haven't gone too deep into it, but it could be on the other side of the sun. So you have the sun here, you'll have what have we got? Mercury first? Yeah. Mercury maybe there, and the new moon in the face here. But off the top of my head, I'm saying it's here, because the moon's outside the planets, just outside the planets, because it comes across the planets as the harmonic oscillator. This was feeding the energy, playing the tunes.